Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first podcast of Quantum Infinite You. And the title is like, I don't step down, I transcend. How I lead in 3D world from quantum plane. Our guests today are trainers of NLP, TLT, hypnosis, and NLP results coaching, representing Amplify Impact Academy, Billy Agmi and Melissa Daly. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
I'm excited for the discussion as well. Yeah. Yeah. Based on like my recent experience of this awakening journey, which you may call it as a divine intervention, and then which had to happen after a certain cycle of your lifetime. So then I experienced that it's all about you. It's all going within and then transcending, and then how you approach the external world, the perspective is completely different. From that, uh, our mind is something which keeps the ego and thoughts and fear-based, mindset which keeps appearing and influencing our core intuition and heart-led decisions, which is kind of a clouding over our what our purpose is, what is our mission on the earth, and how do you explain from the NLP and any brain hacks for that, and how do you differentiate between that ego thinking, fear-based thinking, and the intuition? How to narrow down that?
I'll start, Melissa, if I'll start with that question. It really comes down to programming. And the programming that is in our minds is in our unconscious mind. Now, what the problem is most people are only in their conscious mind. And so you don't realize that these unconscious programmings are actually running their life, because we are in trance 95% of the day, i.e., those programs are running our life. And so when we tap into the unconscious, then we can figure out, well, what programs are there that aren't serving us? And why is my life in the external not representing what I want up here? Because our conscious mind, remember, is the goal setter, and our unconscious mind is the actual goal getter. So if unconsciously we don't believe that we're worthy of these goals, or that we're smart enough for these goals, or we're powerful enough for these goals, consciously we will never attain them, because our unconscious programming will basically self-sabotage us. So that's usually the connection, which is why what Melissa and I teach is how to tap into your unconscious and how to build that rapport between the conscious and the unconscious mind, so you can access the 90% of your mind, not just play with the 10%. So
Exactly. Yeah.
And to add to that, our intuition is within our unconscious as well. And it is something that we are born with. However, societal programming downplays intuition, tells us that it's woo-woo, etc. And in many cases, we have, in more recent generations, tapped out of connecting to our intuition and stopped listening to it. And yet the reality is, and what we teach is, that our intuition will never lead us astray. If we can slow down enough and get rid of all the noise that's in our head, along with ego mindset, we can tap into that intuition and be guided exactly and get out of our own way.
Perfectly said. Like that's what I have my experience also have been before I came to know about the NLP and all those things. I was core into my IT and then program management and stuff. But once I was completely came to the awareness, then I thought like I'm more than this. What are the blockages? I started identifying, and then how I can train my brain to look what are the possibilities outside. So that's the beautiful answers both of you just helped our viewers with that.
And
And
I'm exactly like you. When I was in the corporate world, it's like I forgot about intuition, or it wasn't something that was ever discussed, encouraged, etc. And then when I got out of the corporate world, it came back to me, and I realized, oh, I had this before. When I was a child and a teenager, I could tap into my intuition. And I was doing it, and I had some awareness of it because my mother is highly intuitive. And then, as soon as I got in the corporate world, just completely squashed down, forgotten all about. And then I learned to start listening again. And as I said, we're all born with it. It's a matter of, are we listening?
absolutely, it's all about like how do we find joy in doing the things that we love, right? Ultimately, it boils down to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like my another question is, how do you teach your clients from the mind perspective? For example, some of the entrepreneurs who are too much goal oriented and they want to achieve this within set parameters, and then revenue oriented, growth oriented. Here, something I think that there is a heart-led leadership is missing in current 3D world, which is mechanical and people are goal oriented and they want to achieve. But the thing is, they forget to enjoy the process. They forget what the life is all about. They forget the joy. So how do you train? How, in the sense, in a general sense, how do you, from the brain mapping perspective, how do you teach your clients how it is helpful in NLP and then going through the NLP and hypnosis? How does it transform their life, basically?
That's actually a really great question, because our masterclass that we're teaching to the next 2 days is called Amplify Your Mind, which speaks exactly to that process, Rupa. It is literally about your journey from your pain to your purpose to your profit. Unfortunately, most people are just looking for the profit. They're not paying attention to the pain, nor are they paying attention to their purpose. What are you even doing this for? And then we can start focusing on it. And it's this whole be, do, have concept where, people want to worry about the have. And it's like, no, let's worry about you being who you need to be in order for you to do the things you want to do. So now you can have the things you want to have. So this masterclass is called Amplify Your Mind, and it literally takes us through this whole journey. It's use the analogy of building a house, right? If you work with the results and all you're focusing on the results, that's like trying to put the roof on first, which is just absolutely, when you think about it, is just ridiculous to think of that. Unfortunately, most people, the programming is saying, go, like, go get these things. Once I get these things, then I can do the things I want to do, and then I'll be the person I want to be. It's really externally based. So what we take people through is like, first we have to figure out where in our life do we even have pain, right? Because the pain means pay attention, whether it's financial pain or physical pain or emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever it is. Because once you have the awareness, which is the next step, now you have a choice to do something about it. Once you have the choice, unfortunately, some people, their brain will just make them go back. Well, the pain's not bad enough. I'm going to just keep trying something different. The whole definition of insanity. I'm going to try this, do the same thing over and over again, expect different results. So what we teach people is that there's a gap in skills, and you can't just bypass that.
Yeah.
Or if you do using willpower, it might last for a little while, it won't last forever. And so if you're going to work so hard to get these results, how about let's work in the proper system and the proper steps so that your results are actually staying and they're not fleeting. Because once you fill the gaps, now you have some skills to manage your solutions, and then you stay over here in Solution City as opposed to over here in Victim Island, as you're well aware of, where you're at the effective life. And so that's where we're always focusing on, like, we gotta clear up whatever bugs and viruses are up there first before we can actually get you moving forward towards your goals. Melissa, you got anything to add?
I'm just going to add that we love to say that we do things the easy way. Billy has an easy button, and our students will often say, no, it can't be that easy. And the reality is that it can be that easy when we're working with the other 90% of our mind, because we have so many more resources available to us. And we literally rewire people's neurology so that they do a different behavior. So instead of, having these goals and having only access to willpower and the 10% of your mind worth of resources and tools to achieve those goals, let's open that up and give you way more to work with in order to achieve your goals. And so we like to say also that we create the most amount of change with the least amount of work, because we're working with the other 90% and the unconscious mind is so fast. And so that's how we teach people to get the results that they want, is using more tools and doing it the easy way. The way people are doing it now, the programmed way of society, using the 10% of the mind, that is high stress and that is hard work. And if it's hard, we love to say, you're doing it wrong. You're using the wrong tool for the job.
Absolutely.
So the right tools for the job.
Yeah, it's like a hard way of understanding that when the system is completely paused, then you're forced to take break and then understand that, oh, really, this is not the way, like
Well, as
technically,
long as it's talking about the right tool, imagine building a house with a hammer
yeah,
or having a nail gun where you can and go, like I said, we just have like the shortcut to get there. However, you have to do the work at the beginning of the process, not at the end, because it's going to make the journey that much smoother and easier for people.
absolutely. Yeah. The connected to that is another beautiful question of healing, and then also overcoming the external pressure or external scenarios, whatever the scenario is. For example, like you want to go, you want to do something different, but your environment is not supporting, or how do you like you have come across certain point with using your go-getter mindset or your achieving mindset, but now it is not working anymore, and there the healing starts. At that point of time the healing starts. So how important it is for a person like to understand the healing trigger or the healing point, and it not only from this lifetime, it goes back to multiple lifetimes, like you mentioned in your timeline regression therapy and stuff. So if you could introduce a little bit about that, that would be amazing, because once the person starts healing, then only you will fall into the rhythm, and then you will understand the universal flow, all other manifestations, synchronicities you will be able to see. Otherwise, like you will miss the whole thing. You will again fall into the same loops, doing the same
Well,
things again and
well,
again.
one of the things we teach about what, the role of the unconscious mind is it remembers everything.
Mhm.
So if something happened, whether it was this lifetime or a past lifetime or generationally, if you didn't upload the learnings of what you needed to learn in that traumatic event, it's not like it just gives up. It's going to keep with you, right? Like, more of a spiritual talk. Like, even though we're just in this body in this lifetime, our soul has been in many bodies in many lifetimes. And so if that trauma and that unresolved emotions and all those, things that we haven't healed, it doesn't just, once you end that life, it goes away. It carries, right? That's why doing this work is so important, because not only are you healing it backwards, you're actually healing it for the future so that the future generations, so my children don't have to deal with it. And so those self-limiting beliefs, whether, it was that I didn't feel like I'm good enough, or I didn't feel worthy, or I felt powerless or not good enough, those core limiting beliefs are what happen when that trauma stays with you. And with timeline therapy, that as you mentioned, one of the modalities we teach, a big misconception out there is that in order to heal trauma, you need to talk about it.
Mhm.
And you don't. Because the unconscious mind already knows what happened. The missing piece was we needed to upload the learnings in that traumatic event that we couldn't in the moment. And the learning could be as simple as I'm safe. They're not big, extravagant, learnings sometimes. It could be, as a police officer for 20 years, I had to go into danger. And sometimes I wasn't able to, not sometimes, all the time, I'm not able to deal with my fear because I have to go save someone's life or do something. Now, if I don't process that, okay, I came out of it, I had a moment, okay, I'm safe, my unconscious mind takes that memory with it until I deal with it. And you mentioned the word trigger. In our line of work, we love triggers, because what the trigger is the unconscious mind presenting a memory to the conscious mind, right? That's why those memories come and, oh, I just got triggered, something triggered me, saying, hey, can we process this now? Can we resolve this? And one session of timeline therapy can release so much of that healing, because we go to the root cause. Because every significant emotional event that's connected to that gets unraveled once we pull the root. That's why it's fast, right? This work is really, really fast, because we're going to the core of it, the source of it. Not where, again, outside in, doing things the hard way, right? Remember, we like to do the most amount of change with the least amount of work. And so if we pull it at the root, then the rest of it just unravels. So why do we have to keep dealing with every specific thing? Because again, that's just programming that has been told to us, right? Go talk about that time that you were 6 years old that you got hurt, or go talk about this time. And it's like, no, we actually don't have to do that.
Mhm.
I was
Exactly.
going to add to that as well, because you were talking about the environment changes. The neurology and the environment no longer match. And we have something we teach called the change state indicator.